this is the final straw for two big things that we're going to be showing you today. Musk and Ramaswamy both went to the Capitol today to discuss Trump's vision for Doge, the government efficiency, and also about cutting all the government waste. On top of that, sanctuary cities are doubling down on protecting illegal migrants. And I'm telling you, it is getting bad. Like what we're about to see, it's going to get really intense and it's going to be really bad. A lot of people are nervous about it. Just want to say the breaking news of also that a lot of rhinos are out there that are trying to remove Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and even RFK from being on Trump's cabinet. And this is where, again, too, when you think about it, Democrats, they're bad, and we know them. But when you have people that are rhinos, they literally trying to be Republicans, trying to be MAGA, they're even worse than Democrats in terms of the support. Right now, think about it, 20 Republicans voted for Merrick Garland to be the Attorney General. This was the same guy that went after Trump and tried to put him in jail for a long, long time. And Trump and Johnson have said they're done with it. They said come day one of their administration, they're going to fire every single top leader of the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, the DOJ, and come election time in 2026, Trump and Elon Musk are going to put patriots to win all the seats in the Senate and the House from the rhinos, including Carrie Lake being thrown as one of the persons to go up against Joni Ernst in Iowa for her Senate seat. So things are getting intense right now. But Elon and Vivek met with the Republicans in the Senate and the House today to discuss the Doge department. They discuss who they want to run the FTC, who they want to run the FCC, as well as the IRS, and what they want to happen on day one and for the first 100 days of Trump's administration. Also, the House of Representatives today released a 500-page report on the COVID-19 pandemic key findings. The Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic basically said that all the conspiracy theorists that said all the things about it coming from a Wuhan lab, about the mask being ineffective, about all the shutdowns, they were all right. They were all correct. But yet, not one single newspaper and not one single news station has retracted anything that they said from CNN, MSNBC about the 2020 pandemic. And we also have a special interview with Tucker Carlson and the Prime Minister of Russia, who says that they want peace negotiations and they are in peace talks with Trump right now, and Ukraine and Biden are trying to fight against it. But we got a ton of breaking news today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you so much for your support. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. And thank you so much to all of our members of the channel. Let's go. Let's see some popcorn, guys, because we have got a show for you tonight. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation, guys. We're so grateful and thankful. Going to be doing our biggest donation in a couple of weeks live on channel, and I'm so excited for it. But we got a ton of breaking news to show you guys. We're going to jump right into it. This is good stuff. Check it out.
Doge is shaking up Washington. Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk have been meeting with lawmakers all day on Capitol Hill, laying out their plan to torch $2 trillion in wasteful government spending. Take a look.
Elon, do you want to see Democrats here?
All right. Vivek Ramaswamy says any firings will be done with respect.
I'm hopeful it's going to be even good for many of the individuals who may make a transition from government service back to the private sector in a manner that respects them, in a manner that, because this wasn't really about wringing the biggest source of cost saving anyway, gives us a lot of latitude to be able to treat those workers and their families in a respectful way, in a way that doesn't leave them in a lurch, that might even be, by private sector standards, generous in transitioning.
And it's not just Republicans. Even some Democrats want a piece of the Doge action.
There's not a single American who thinks government's perfect. Democrats should embrace government efficiency. That doesn't mean that we're going to start cutting services, but I think it can be more efficient.
I don't know why it's controversial to eliminate waste. Anybody could support making our government more efficient and saving whatever money that we can.
Let's go.
Why be cynical about that? I actually think it's going to be great. I'm hoping.
People want to reform something, change something. I'm 100% for it. Let's go.
All right, Jesse, we know that there is a huge percentage of federal workers who are not at the workplace. And now Senator Joni Ernst today was talking about a productivity tracking where they actually tell those people who are working at home that they have to prove their productivity. But in the end, what they're looking for is to eliminate $2 trillion. How did they do that?
Well, I'd like to check out who's working from home, but there's too many of them. You can't even go around to, 3 million people? Only 6% of the federal bureaucrats are actually coming in 5 days a week.
Wow.
And when they're not coming into work, they're having sex at work. Did you hear about the orgy at the VA?
No.
There's a 12-person orgy that they just busted up at the Veterans Affairs Administration.
Golly.
They were doing it on the clock. They were doing it at the hospital. And no one's been fired so far. One guy slept with 32 coworkers.
Wow.
Veterans Affairs, literally, Tyrus. So Doge needs to...
Talk about work.
Yeah, give this guy a round of applause.
Yeah.
But so this is taxpayer-funded orgies, and that's if I was Musk, I'd start right there to chop. Now, I found some other goodies that we need to chop. $1.7 million for holograms of dead comedians, Judge Janine. So if you want to see Richard Pryor again, there you go. $500,000 to build an IHOP in D.C. It's a lot for pancakes. You got $2.5 million on a Super Bowl ad for the census. Do you remember that? I don't.
Yeah.
How about $3 million for girl-centered climate action in Brazil? That sounds like porn.
Yeah.
And then you have $300,000 for diverse bird watcher groups, Tyrus.
I'm actually in that.
That's okay. So some of this is good.
I love birds.
Some of this is good, but the rest of it has to be cut, especially daylight savings time. It's like midnight outside. Can we get rid of daylight savings time?
We all agree with that. That makes sense. All right, Dana. Well, the amazing part of this is that the labor unions are fighting back, and they are actually saying that in their contracts, they are permitted to work from home. And just to top it off, the Biden administration apparently is continuing to secure some union contracts so that they can work from home until 2029.
Yeah, so they signed a contract last year that said that they have this flexibility. So it's possible that Doge could go in and say, we want to reopen this contract. And when we do, maybe there will also be respectful firings, which I know Tyrus wants to talk about. The other thing, every administration, when they're on their way out, especially because in our lifetimes, it's pretty much anytime there's a change of administration, it's usually to the other party. Mm-hmm. So that means that whoever is there tries to do as much as they possibly can. So they'll try to get people that are maybe political appointees to take full-time federal bureaucracy jobs so that they could be, it's called burrowing in. The other thing that the Biden administration is doing right now is shoveling as much money as it can on the green projects, which is enriching a lot of its friends, but it basically ties up that money that President Trump couldn't use or claw back against somebody else. I agree that all of those things that Jesse just pointed out are ridiculous, and the taxpayers should not pay for them. But when you're talking $2 trillion versus the millions, all of that is basically not even a rounding error for what they're trying to do. The exciting thing is, I don't know if there's ever been this much agreement, and I'm not just talking about Democrats, but agreement across the country that something has to be done and that overspending and overregulation on the federal government level is hurting everyday Americans.
Well,
guys, it's beautiful what we're seeing. Like, I'm telling you, look at this picture right here. What we're seeing coming from the A-team, the dream team. You got Vivek, Elon Musk, and his son X, literally named him Lil X. And then you got Speaker Johnson, who are all there. We also have it too where there is already new bills that are being presented, everybody, that are going to help, that they want to push through. Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, check her out. This is amazing. I am so 100% for this. Check this out.
And earlier today, I have gotten the Doge Act filed. It is in the hopper. What this will do is freeze federal salaries and federal hiring so that we can begin to get our arms around this bloated federal government and begin to make the cuts that are necessary for us to be free, to be a sovereign nation for our kids and grandkids.
Guys, can you hear that? Like, all these new things that are coming out, it is amazing, and I love to see that the dream team is coming together. Thank you so much, The British Perspective, for the super chat. Said, I love Trump, he is the crypto czar. Well, he actually just named his crypto czar, David Sachs. He's a big friend of Elon Musk. He was a part of the PayPal mafia. Sharon Holt, thank you so much for your super chat. It said, we must get this crap cleaned out 100%. And thank you so much, Andy, for the super chat. He said, I was once willing to give my life for what I was believed this country stood for. Today, I'm giving my life to protect my family from what this country has become. I'm telling you, it's been bad, but I feel like, guys, we're moving towards something that's so much better. Y'all show Andy The British Perspective and sharing some love in the chat. But I'm telling you guys, there's a lot more that's coming out. Like, I can't even believe the stuff that we are reporting now. Check this out.
Talking about this censorship complex. And folks, the thing they're trying to censor are populist movements around the world. The MAGA movement, the populist movement in Brazil, the populist movement happening right now in France, if you've been watching what's going on with the snap elections over there. They're trying to crush populist movements. They can't have you freely exchanging information. Listen to Ben's explain this on Rogan. This is great.
There were events in the run-up. Well, it all sort of happened simultaneously, really, because the month that Elon announced his acquisition was the same month that the Disinformation Governance Board was announced at DHS, which was the first thing that really roused Republicans and, frankly, anyone with institutional power in D.C. to finally stare into the sun and recognize, or at least begin to glimpse, the size of what they were up against. The Disinformation Governance Board set off a flurry of congressional activity from Chuck Grassley and other luminaries in Congress. There were there's whistleblower documents came out, and
guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you believe it that they literally created, remember, it's gone now, the Disinformation Board, but they literally, we the taxpayers, were paying for a governance board to censor us and tell us what we couldn't and couldn't say on social media. That's how messed up it was, but thank God it's gone.
For years, the entire Republican Party and most of the Democrat Party had denied the existence of government censorship. And it, frankly, the Ministry of Truth was not the Disinformation Governance Board. The Ministry of Truth had already existed 3 years earlier at DHS. They just called it a name that masked what it did. It was called the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency.
Folks, the government has been doing this forever. They are trying to crush populist movements around the world. And anyone, I want to be clear on this, anyone on the other side of censorship is going to become an enemy of the deep state. No, I'm protected if I'm a Democrat, which I'm not. You are not protected. Listen to me, Democrats watching my show. You're out there. I get your emails. I've converted quite a few of you, and I appreciate it. You are not safe from them. If you speak out against censorship, you are next. Folks, listen, I appreciate President Trump's vision of what he wants to do with his cabinet, and I think RFK's had a genuine conversion. I met him in the green room at the UFC. It wasn't like some big, long conversation, but it was good enough. And I trust President Trump's vision of what he wants to do. He's going to be his nominee for HHS. If President Trump thinks that's the guy, then you know what? That's good enough for me. And I'm going to support him. And I'm going to assume he's got some vision here with this. RFK has become an enemy of the left. Let's just be candid, though, about who RFK was. RFK is a Democrat his entire life. And a left-leaning one for a long time. That's not a mystery. Why is he now all of a sudden an enemy of the left? Because I believe he's had a genuine awakening. And I use those words deliberately. He has had a genuine awakening as to what the left has become, a party of censorship. Listen to this clip, RFK, very carefully. And you'll see why this guy's public enemy number one. Yeah, lots got to do with Big Pharma and other stuff like that. But this is the real reason they hate RFK. Listen to him on censorship. Check this out.
Never been a time in history when the good guys were the people who were censoring books and censoring information. And throughout COVID, the media took on this responsibility of basically lying to the public about public health issues in order to get them to follow a certain policy, which the media believed in, apparently, which were lockdowns, masks, the forced vaccination, et cetera. And now it's clear that those policies were not beneficial to public health. But I think the media got into this posture of censorship, and it's hard for them to relinquish it.
Folks, I like to do deeper dives. I don't like to be superficial at stuff. And I give you both sides. Yes, RFK was a Democrat and a left-leaning one. Anyone telling you otherwise is lying to you and gaslighting you, and this show is not doing that. If I lose people, that's fine. We'll gain people in the end because this is a home for truth, okay? I genuinely believe what changed RFK was the COVID fiasco within the government, the massive scandal about the vaccine, the censorship. I am not on YouTube anymore. You know why? We were banned. You know why we were banned from YouTube? Because we told people the truth about COVID. Go look it up. We put up the headlines 1,000 times about masks and vaccines. And we were told, you say it again, you're gone. And we did, and we're gone. Now we're on Rumble. I don't care. I don't miss YouTube one bit. It's not a sob story. I'm just telling you, COVID changed a lot of people. 100%. And it broke the censorship complex because the average person who didn't want to jam a shot into his kid's arm who was at low risk for COVID found out if he said anything, he was kicked off social media too. Now, the tactics part of this show is important. The left is going to use this tactic on Elon and Trump moving forward because they've been doing it now for 10 years. And you need to be savvy to it. You ready? I want you to watch this CNN clip, and I want you to watch it critically. Because once you see this, you'll never unsee it. Going forward, the Department of Government Efficiency, this Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy-led effort to clean up ridiculous government overspending, right? The only way they can argue against this, because no one wants to waste taxpayer money, correct? No, even, smart Democrats, a few we have left, they're like, well, we don't want to waste money. The only way to argue against it is going to be to go back to the same freaking go-to they go to every time. Man, pointing this out, you guys could be inciting violence against government workers. No, they're doing it again. Don't fall for this bull. They say it every single time. Anytime you point something out, you're inciting violence. They could call you a Nazi, a Ku Klux Klan member, a racist. That's not inciting violence. They can actually call for violence against you. Remember with Rick Wilson? Someone's going to have to put a bullet in his head. That doesn't matter. But you say, hey, man, this agency has hired a lot of people we don't really need in the government. You're definitely inciting violence. You doubt me? It's already starting. Watch this.
There is some concern, not just about people's jobs, but about their personal safety, given the way that they are, particularly Elon Musk, is behaving on his social media platform.
Can you believe
federal
this
employees
crap?
that you talk to, civil servants, they are prepared. They know that job cuts are coming, but something that they were not prepared for and that they're very afraid of is being personally targeted by people like Elon Musk. And that's because just a few weeks ago, we saw Elon Musk reposting some accounts on X that were posting screenshots of this publicly available federal database of civil servants. And they're pointing out what they say were they consider them absurd jobs. These are things like Director of Climate Diversification, Chief Climate Officer. We have some of these posts on X that he made, and we actually blurred out the names of these civil servants to protect their privacy, which is not something that Elon Musk did when he reposted this. Now, he reposted these posts with comments like so many fake jobs. But whatever you think of these jobs and whether they should exist or not, those people that he listed, they are private individuals. They are not public-facing individuals. And now they're receiving a torrent of online hate and potentially even more threats offline.
They are not private individuals. You pay them.
Guys, you can't make this stuff up. Every single thing that they can throw out there to try to smear them, they're going to smear them. I want to show you this real quick. Thank you so much, B1 Sly One, for the gifted One True Life News membership, and Shelly Bergman for the super chat. Let's go. Said, hey, Joel, this chat just rocks. Let's go. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody. So the national debt, think about it like this. It's been growing and growing and growing and growing. And guys, if we don't stop, it's going to keep growing. There is no trajectory on here where it essentially goes down. It's always going up. So we have to do something about it. Because let me tell you this, you want to know how, this is the corrupt stuff, guys. I'm telling you, I'm bringing the receipts, I'm bringing the facts tonight to show you from Doge why it's all corrupt, why the regulatory system is all corrupt. This is from the Department of Doge. It will have taken almost 25 years to permit and construct the Gross Reservoir Expansion Project in Colorado, expected to be completed in 2027. 25 years? It took almost 20 years to permit the Kensington gold mine in Alaska. It took 4 years to construct a new runway at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, but it took 15 years to get the permits. 15 years of going through regulations and permits and paying fees here and there. Guys, this is the corruptness. It took Shell 7 years and $7 billion to get the federal government's permission to drill a single oil exploration well off the coast of Alaska. This is the stuff that Trump is talking about. All these regulations slow down growth. And just I showed you there, it took almost 4 times longer to get the permits than it did to actually build what they were trying to build. And I'm glad to, because what we're hearing now is straight from the mouth of the chairman of the Judiciary Committee over what is going on with Doge. Thank you so much, Connie Young, for the super chat. Said, thanks for bringing us all the current news. May God bless you and your family. God bless you, Connie. And thank you so much, first timer, Lisa Young. Said, let's go, Joel. Great delivery on the news. We watch you every night. Let's go. Y'all show Lisa and Connie some love in the chat. Check this out.
I hear you were in all the meetings or some of the meetings with what I'm now calling the Doge brothers, and I thought maybe you'd tell us. We just had our opening segment about that, and I think they're going to chop down the regulatory state. But what did you hear? What do you think you heard?
Well, I was in the meeting with the entire conference with both Mr. Ramaswamy and Mr. Musk, but I met earlier with Elon where we talked about Doge. We talked about a candidate I think would be great as chair for the Federal Trade Commission in the Trump administration. And then I thanked him, frankly. I thanked Elon for what he has meant to stopping the censorship industrial complex, what he has done to defend the First Amendment. Him coming forward, I think, was so good, coming forward, getting involved, helping President Trump's campaign. I think was just such a good sign for so many people. So I really, I took time to thank him. But in the meeting, we talked about a lot of things you're talking about. And I love what you said in your opening. It's not just about reducing the spending, which we need to do, but it's also about making government more efficient by getting rid of the regulations, which are hurting our economic growth. That is so important. And it's about making people come to work. I mean, the people who do work for the government, it's all remote out in Virginia or Maryland somewhere. No, if you're going to be productive, you got to get to work. All those things Elon Musk understands just like you do. So I like where they're headed. I think this is going to be real helpful to our country.
The regulatory state that they want to stop, chop down wherever possible, backed up by Supreme Court decisions. The regulatory state is the modern version of socialism. It's central planning. They're running the economy. They do not have a mandate from the Congress. They do not have a mandate from the Constitution. They do not have a mandate from the taxpayers. These unelected bureaucrats, they just enhance their power to run the joint, and they've run it very badly.
Yeah, and the key word in there is unelected. Not a single one of them ever put their name on a ballot, had to go answer to we, the people, to the voters, to the taxpayers, and yet they run our lives. That drives me. That's not how our constitutional system works. So I think that certainly Vivek and Elon understand that fundamental dynamic about how our system, the best system ever, our country, the best country ever, how it's supposed to operate. And that's part of this as well.
But Jim Jordan, I got to ask you about this. You say you have a great candidate to run the Federal Trade Commission. I have a better idea. idea. You should be abolishing the Federal Trade Commission. We tried to abolish that darn thing 40 years ago with Ronald Reagan. Jim Miller was the head of the Federal Trade Commission under Reagan. My saintly wife was the press secretary for the damn thing, and they were trying to abolish it. It serves no purpose but mischief.
Well said. I think there's a number of things we can get rid of in our federal government. But if we do have them, you want someone who believes in the free market and believes in the things we were just talking about and is not for using government to be weaponized against people, to censor people, and all the things that we've seen unfold under the Biden-Harris administration.
All right, I'll take that under advisement. Let me ask you something else that's very amusing to me, but I don't understand it. Democrats are now asking Joe Biden for a preemptive pardon, okay, of Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and Tony Fauci. Well, what is this all about? Preemptive pardons, for heaven's sake.
Well. Plus, didn't they just criticize? They went after some of my colleagues who they said asked for pardons. I don't know that they ever did, but some of my colleagues who supposedly that they went after them, and now they're doing the same thing. This is ridiculous. Donald Trump has never been about retribution. Right. Donald Trump has been stopping these agencies from being weaponized against we the people, and frankly from being weaponized against him, and all the lawfare that we saw unfold where Fonnie Willis, Alvin Bragg, and Jack Smith went after President Trump on ridiculous things that we all know were just that, ridiculous. So that's always been President Trump's position, but this is just the left continuing their crazy antics and crazy, concerns.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. Trump, right. Success is the best revenge. Success will unify the country. Yes. Success will end the divisions in the country. He said it a million times. He never went after Hillary Clinton years ago. He keeps saying that, and people are, you know what, they're projecting all these left-wing motives.
Exactly.
That's all they're doing. One other point, Mr. Jim Jordan.
Larry, they tried to use the 14th Amendment to not even let him run.
I know.
They did. Yes. Thank goodness our Supreme Court said 9-0. Yes. You can't do that. So that's how crazy they've become. He's about success. He's about winning. Yes. Winning beats all this, and that's what President Trump's about.
Yes, sir. One quickie, Jim Jordan. Mr. Trump promised tax cuts, particularly for the middle class, for wage earners, for small businesses. I think Trump tax cuts 2.0 must be in the first reconciliation bill. In fact, I don't believe you'll ever get two reconciliation bills. I don't understand it. That was his promise. We need a blue-collar boom. We need to reward the working-class coalition. Come on, Jim Jordan.
Well, Larry, I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3, or 15. I think we could probably do 3 is the most we'd be allowed to do. I don't care what the number is. All I care about is doing what we told the voters we were going to do. I say all the time, we make this job way too complicated. What'd you tell the electorate you were going to do when you put your name on the ballot? If they vote for you, if they elect you, go do what you said. No one did it better than President Trump. He's going to get done what he said he was going to do. We have to help him. And if that's 1 bill, if that's 2 bills, I'm okay with whatever.
It should be the first bill. The first thing.
Maybe you're right.
The first thing. Come on, Jim. You're a supply sider. The tax cut argument is so important. Those people need better take-home pay around the kitchen table. That's why they voted for him.
Fair enough, and if we can get it all done in one, great. But if it takes us 2, again, remember, we're going to have a 1-vote majority.
I know.
A 1-seat majority. So
I know.
We're going to have to figure out how this all works and make it all fit.
You're not going to get through multiple reconciliation bills with a 1-vote or 3-vote majority. I mean, you're the smart guy here, not me.
Guys, that's why I show Kudlow. Why? Because he calls him out. He's not afraid to call him out. And I've got amazing, great news. This is really, really good news because we're hearing all this stuff with Pete Hegseth, guys. I got you taken care of. Check it out. Senator John Cornyn, he actually ran to be the Senate Majority Leader but lost to Thune. He has some words for us, but I do want to say thank you to Lisa Young. Welcome to the family. David M. American Patriot. I think that's what it says. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. And thank you so much, Judy Lynn, for the super chat. It said, continue to pray that everything will come to pass. Thank you, Joel, for the updates daily. God bless you. God bless you, Judy Lynn. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody. And thank you so much, Sharon Holt, for being a member of the channel. You're going to love what you're about to hear, guys. Listen to this.
First of all, will Kash Patel be confirmed, as I expect he will be, but you're the guy who knows. What do you think?
Yes, he will be. People I have great respect for, people like Trey Gowdy, have recommended him highly. I'm still looking to schedule a meeting with Kash, but I think, certainly has a vast experience, including working on the House Intelligence Committee on the Russiagate scam and the Steele dossier scandal. So look forward to meeting with him.
Guys, I love it. They're saying now that they have enough votes to confirm Kash Patel to get him in there to clean house, baby. It's time to get the broom, the Swiffer, the what do they got out there? The Dyson, everything in clean house, guys. Check this out.
Reagan famously said this.
We, as Americans, have the capacity now, as we've had in the past, to do whatever needs to be done to preserve this last and greatest bastion of freedom. In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Government has only gotten bigger. We're $36 trillion in debt, agencies are bloated, and bureaucrats have never been lazier. Biden spent 40% of his presidency on vacation, but compared to the rest of the government, he's a workaholic. A new Senate report says only 6% of federal workers go into the office 5 days a week. And if you don't count security guards and maintenance staff, only 1% of government workers do 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. 1%. Almost 90% of government office buildings are completely empty. So where is everyone? One manager at Veterans Affairs took a picture of himself working from a bubble bath. He called it my office for the next hour.
Wow.
What kind of man takes a bubble bath? Men age out of bubble baths at 5.
That's true.
If you're a guy and you're alone in a bubble bath, that's a problem. You have to have someone with you.
Yeah.
Remember when the GSA got caught in a Vegas bubble bath holding a California cab? Yeah. And the only federal workers showing up to the office are having sex with each other. If you caught the show yesterday, we reported a Breitbart exclusive, a major scandal rocking the VA. Our report stated there was a 12-person orgy, but we have to issue a correction. It wasn't a 12-person orgy. It was 15.
Oh.
We apologize to the 3 we left out. And they've all resigned, but don't worry, they get to keep their pensions.
Employees to have sex with each other at work?
Absolutely not.
So why is it that we have at least 15 Mountain Home, Tennessee VA employees who have allegedly had sex on the VA property? They've not been disciplined.
Those actions are reprehensible, extremely inappropriate. We also have seen every implicated person leave the VA, resign, and an investigation is underway across all of the leaders and individuals involved here.
If it's not hot tubs or orgies, it's alcohol. 2 years ago, Nancy Pelosi opened up a liquor store in Congress. And yes, they cater. So if any politicians want to knock back a cognac or have a glass of Pinot, Nancy's waitstaff will bring it straight to your office. No wonder they spend so much money. They're all drunk. And we're not talking about a glass or two here and there. Members of Congress can order cases of wine and liquor. Cases.
Wow.
We found some items Congress has been spending money on, and it has to be after a few rounds. Are you ready? $500,000 for an IHOP in D.C. What, Jerry Nadler need his pancakes? Almost $2 million for holograms of dead comedians. $3 million for girl-centered climate action group in Brazil. Sounds kind of like porn. $45 million on DEI scholarships in Burma.
Wow.
Isn't everyone in Burma DEI? And they still had about $150 billion left over to spend on illegals last year. $150 billion with a B. If you're wondering, the Manhattan Project, adjusted for inflation, only cost $30 billion. The Panama Canal, $15 billion. The Hoover Dam, $1 billion. You don't need a PhD in economics to know we're getting ripped off.
Unless you don't have a brain above a single cell organism, you know that there is waste in the federal government. There's enormous waste. cutting waste up here is kind of like going to heaven. You know, everybody wants to do it, but nobody's quite ready to make the trip.
Wow.
That was until today. Trump finally got Elon out of Mar-a-Lago and sent him to Capitol Hill. And he brought someone special. And we're not talking about Vivek.
Elon, how clean's been today? How do you win over people who say Doge doesn't have any power? Do you think you can still...
Elon, how do you define success for Doge? Elon, do you want to see Democrats here?
Trump's taking a blowtorch to D.C.
Let's
go. The goal
go.
is to cut $2 trillion from the budget. And if you're working from home, you're not working hard enough, so pack your bags. Here's Vivek.
The idea of reducing the federal employee headcount is not really about saving cost. Part of what you have is an overgrown federal government that is doing things that were never supposed to be done by the federal government in the first place. You look at the number of times in the last 2 years alone, or 2 to 3 years, that the action of a federal agency has been struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. So I think part of the project of thinning out the federal bureaucracy, that's less about the headcount expenses, and it's more about actually respecting the rules of the road in the constitutional republic.
Doge is taking aim at illegal regulations. And now the second richest man in the world is asking, how can I help?
I'm very hopeful about this. He seems to have a lot of energy around reducing regulation. And my point of view, if I can help him do that, I'm going to help him. Because we do have too much regulation in this country. This is the most important thing, a growth mindset. And we are the luckiest country in the world. We have all these natural resources, including energy independence. You've probably grown in the last 8 years. He has too. What I've seen so far is that he is calmer than he was the first time and more confident, more settled.
Guys, if you didn't know, Bezos, this guy who's talking, he owns Amazon. He's the second richest guy in the world, and he's a Democrat. So not only does he have the richest man in the world, the second richest man in the world, he's got a couple more billionaires like Vivek who are all saying, we're ready to help. Mark Zuckerberg, the third richest man in the world, has said, I want to be part of the tech team to help with tech policy. How in the world did Trump pull this off to get the 3 richest dudes in the world to want to come and work with him in his cabinet?
The 2 richest men in the world are going to streamline the government to run it like a corporation. And now the 3rd richest man wants in. Mark Zuckerberg just made a pilgrimage to Mar-a-Lago to talk shop with Trump.
Wow.
And everyone's on notice. Executives from big pharma companies like Pfizer flew down to Mar-a-Lago this week to have dinner with Trump. And 47 brought a surprise guest. RFK Jr. came and sat down at the table with the big pharma executives so we can live fact check. Besides Maha, another topic of discussion, a cure for cancer. It was a 3-hour dinner, probably because of the fact checking. And as it wound down, we're told DJ Donald Trump pulled out his iPad and blasted Pavarotti. Meanwhile, at the FBI, agents are gearing up for a big clash with cash. Mr. Patel, Trump's pick for director, says he wants to turn the Hoover Building into a museum for the deep state. And it's not going over very well.
I talked to a number of executives at headquarters who are absolutely have already polished off their resume as soon as Trump was named as winner of the election and are out there actively pursuing other careers. Their chief concern and what they're going to be keenly looking for, and we should all be looking for as well, is the degree to which a Patel in that position is going to impact the field offices. The clash is going to occur rather immediately. It's going to occur almost immediately. And again, this desire to do away with civil service protections, I'm sure, the Agents Association and other law firms are ready to go on challenging that.
Some governors are putting up a resistance. Gavin Newsom says he wants to spend millions to Trump-proof California, whatever that means. Other Democrats are saying, cut it out.
I do wonder what that means, the Trump-proof a state. Like, how do you Trump-proof a state in America? Like, what happens when you need the president of the United States of America for something? You know what I mean? Like, I don't I don't quite understand what that means. Make it about the policies, because when you say things like Trump-proof, you're going to end up looking like a hypocrite when, you know, you need the president for something and you all in his face smiling and cheesing the same way, you know, President Biden was after they called him a threat to democracy and all of these other things. And then he was like, welcome back, you know, when it came time for the White House. When he came, so it's like, cut it out.
Even Bill Clinton says enough is enough.
I do think we should stop trying to criminalize politics. But on the other, I think we should, both of us, because obviously, and the people don't like it and they're not going along with it from right to left.
Everyone's begging for mercy. Mexico, after getting threatened with a 25% tariff, just seized a record haul of fentanyl from the Sinaloa cartel. Trump hasn't even laid down the tariffs, and Mexico's getting their act together.
Let's go.
Real men are back in D.C., and all the little critters are trying to clean up the mess before Dad comes home. But they want to throw one last pardon palooza. They want Biden to toss a pardon blanket over the entire Capitol. Fauci, Jack Smith, Adam Schiff, even journalists. These jokers haven't even asked for pardons. Democrats are just assuming they'd want them because they know what they've done. And Biden's thinking about it.
I think that they're taking every opportunity here to explore the options they have left in the time that they have left in office to protect people who may be subject to that attack. So yes, I think it is absolutely a serious process they're undergoing.
Biden's leaving office in the wake of pardons, orgies, alcohol, empty office buildings, and bubble baths.
Guys, it's getting crazy, guys. And I'm telling you, right now, we've never have had the amount of fighting that is coming across to get the rhinos out, guys. I don't know if you know this guy. His name is Leo Terrell. He's a U.S. attorney. He is big time saying, you know what? I'm done with it. And guys, I love what you're about to hear next, because to me, this is what we need. This is a disruptor like RFK, like Elon Musk, like Vivek, but on the legal side. Listen to this.
Hi, Leo 2.0 here, December 5th, 2024. I'm very, very happy President Trump is going to be our next president. He's going to make America great again. But I'm upset, and I don't care if you get upset with me about what I am going to say. First of all, I support Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense. I want to repeat that. I support Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense. I am sick and tired of rhinos. How many times have you heard me say rhinos are more dangerous to President Trump than Democrats? And there are rhinos who are lying about being Trump supporters. They're not. They're really Democrats. I want someone to explain this to me. 20 Republicans voted for Merrick Garland to become Attorney General. The same Merrick Garland who tried to put President Trump in jail for 1,000 years. They voted for him. But they won't vote for Pete Hegseth, Susan Collins, John Cronin, Joni Ernst, who is buddies with Nikki Haley. Joni Ernst is a fraud. And she won't come out and support Pete Hegseth, Mike Rounds, John Thune, Lisa Murkowski. They're Trump haters. And they won't come out and support Merrick Garland. Somebody explain that to me. Explain it to me.
Guys, I'm telling you, like people, I'm glad too, because these are once Democrats. They're now Republicans. They're coming out. They're voicing their opinions, and everybody's getting in check. And on the same part too, what I love coming from Jim Jordan. So guys, I'm telling you, this is something that doesn't get talked about enough. The census controls, whenever we do a census, it controls how many electoral votes go to each state, how many House representatives go to each state. And this is huge because listen to this. Corruption has been found today in Congress through the Census Bureau and what they've done. And I love it. It's all exposed now. Check this out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, did it take a constitutional amendment for the Census Bureau to be able to ask Americans whether you rent your home or own your home? Mr. Connolly said you can't ask if they're a citizen unless we change the Constitution. I understand the Constitution says you got to count persons, and that's what you do. But you ask a lot of other things. You find out a lot of other information. Rent your home. Do you own your home? You ask if they're deaf or if they're blind in this community, American Community Service that comes from the Census Bureau. You ask if they got any mental illness. So you can do that, but you can't ask sort of the fundamental question that applies to how we apportion seats for the United States Congress, whether you're a citizen or not. You can't do that.
We can do whatever we need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, according to the whatever the.
We just need to tell you to do that, but Democrats don't want to do that, do they? Somebody doesn't want to do. We want you to find out how many citizens. We want you to find out how many persons.
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this makes me so mad because think about it. We ask on the census, do you have mental health issues? We ask in the census, do you own or rent your home? But we can't, for a dang reason, ask if you are a U.S. citizen on the census?
In the country, because that's what the Constitution says. And then we passed legislation on this committee. We want you to also ask the question, how many citizens are there in the country? Are you opposed to doing that?
I am opposed to not providing Congress with the information that it needs.
I understand.
To make
I'm asking, do you think it's a good idea for Congress, we're the policymakers, to put on the survey, on the census, asking that question, are you a citizen or not?
We will do whatever the mandates
I'm asking your opinion. You're the guy who does it. What do you think? You think that'd be good for us to do?
I think that we would need to take a very careful look because there is evidence that adding a citizenship question to the decennial census would dampen participation.
Is there any evidence when you ask an American citizen, if we ask you if you got a mental illness, that might discourage participation? Did you get any evidence on that?
That is part of the American Community Survey, and we ask it. And we get great participation in that.
So you can ask people whether they've got a mental problem, but you can't ask whether they're a citizen or not. And that's the mental problem. That's going to be fine. They're gonna participate.
In fact, we ask citizenship in the American Community Survey.
Oh, then why don't you do it in the main one then?
Well, I think we have a responsibility to making sure we understand the risks and benefits of adding any question to the decennial census. In this case, in the case of the citizenship question, there would be a risk of exacerbating undercounts due to dampened self-response, while at the same time, richer data, more valuable data exists with the American Community Survey when you combine citizenship question with all these other socioeconomic variables where the geography, you can get estimates down to a relatively small geographic area.
You think by not asking that in any way impacts how the congressional seats are in fact apportioned around the country? Do you think there's an impact by not knowing specifically the citizens in respective areas? Do you think that there's an impact there?
I think I missed the point of the question, please.
Do you think by not having that information that districts can be apportioned to the respective states in a way that doesn't reflect actual citizenship in those states?
I don't have an opinion other than to say we're obliged to count everyone, provide the counts to the president, who gives it to Congress. And it's a policy decision then for Congress to decide how to redistrict, how to use those numbers.
My guess is you go talk to most people on the street, you go talk to people who live in the 4th District of Ohio and say, do you think we should ask on the census how many people, if you're a citizen of this country, I think most people would say, well, yeah, aren't we doing that already? Most Americans, I think that's sort of, and the fact that we're not, they think, well, that's just the dumbest thing in the world. So I think that's just sort of common sense. And yet we have this big push against doing it, which surprises me because we can do both. It's not an either or as Mr. Connolly tried to frame it. We can ask what the Constitution says, find out how many people are in the country. But I don't know why we can't find out how many of those people are actually citizens of this great country. I just don't get that. And again, I think you talk to any any American anywhere, and they're gonna like, yeah, I don't know why aren't we doing that already? And you guys are like, no, we don't think we should do that, even though we can ask what you drive to work, how much you work, are you getting welfare, do you work for the government, don't you work for the government, do you got a mental illness, are you deaf, are you blind, what's your race, what's your sex? You can ask all those questions, but the one question that might, let's just say might, have an impact on how we apportion congressional seats, we can't ask that one. Oh, that seems stupid. I yield back.
Guys, I'm telling you, this is the type of stuff. This is those people that are getting fired day one. Trump and Johnson said, we're done with it. Listen to this, because I'm telling you, this government spending right now, Biden is trying to spend as much money as he can before he leaves office. Listen to this.
Mr. Speaker, some labor unions are already fighting back. They've already signed contracts to try and get this, that they could be able to work from home, things like that. Your reaction to that?
Well, there was a report that came out today. I don't know if you all have seen it, but someone did a little survey of how many federal employees are actually working in the office. By one estimate, it may be about 1% if you don't count the security personnel that are covering these buildings. That is absurd, and it's not something the American people would stand for. And so one of the first things that I think you'll see is a demand from the new administration and from all of us in Congress that federal workers return to their desks and get back to the work that they're supposed to be doing. I think that is common sense. What you're going to see here, the overriding theme here, is a return to common sense and a return to accountability and efficiency in government. I think that's going to serve the people well. There'll be a lot more to tell you all in the days ahead. Thanks.
Guys, I'm telling you, not only did he say that, he also he said today that the Biden admin appears to be spending money right now as if they're dumping gold bars off the Titanic. That's literally what he said. And I want to show you this too, because this is super important. This is what's about to happen with Pete Hegseth, because everybody, all these rhinos are trying to get him out. But Trump said, keep going forward.
I'm proud of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group. None of you. Not to that camera at all. I answer to President Trump, who received 76 million votes on behalf and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee. And I answer to my Lord and Savior and my wife and my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
Let's go. Bring the Pentagon back. Remember, they have failed 7 years in a row. They have failed audits on. They cannot account for the spending that they have done in the past 7 years with our taxpayer dollars. They need to be held accountable. Cut them off. You know, keep enough to, you know, protect us, but cut all the extra stupid spending. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. Guys, y'all are so amazing. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. I want to give some shout outs to The British Perspective, Sharon Holt, Andy, B1 Sly One, Shelly Bergman, Connie Young, Lisa Young. Hey, are y'all related? Y'all let me know if y'all are related, because if sisters are watching the True Life News Show, let's go. Thank you so much, David M. American, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit. Guys, y'all are so amazing. Sharon Holt, thank you for all the support. We are here to serve you guys. I'm telling you, I love what's coming. I love that we're getting the good people in place. I love that Kash Patel has enough votes to get into office. And I feel like we get Pete Hegseth in there. We get RFK in there. The Doge is rocking the entire United States right now. People don't know what to do, because for the longest time, they've been operating without any accountability. And now they're about to be held accountable. Love you all, guys. Appreciate you so much. And I will see you in the next one.